Well, I was under the mistaken idea that maybe we were going to have a warm winter this year. But as you can see, I had to bring out the real winter jacket and hat and scarf, and it's freezing with the potential for snow tonight. So we'll see what happens. I've got freedom on my mind, though. I'm reading that book again, actually perusing it after having already read it, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and was reminded of some beautiful things. He says the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. Knowing this enables you to observe that entity. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. That thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind. You begin to awaken. I just thought that was such a beautiful idea. These things, the profound things, the names of God, I like to call them. Those are those things that don't have a bottom to their definition. They get deeper and deeper the more you ponder them and think about them. And that they all exist within you, but at higher states of consciousness, higher levels of awareness. And each of these states of consciousness, for us, seems independent and disjointed from all the others, because when you're in one particular state, you can't see beyond it. Everything gets interpreted by it, which is part of the difficulty to this spiritual growth, to this understanding of truth. How we live in a prison without recognizing it as a prison. How we see our lack of freedom without finding it to be a lack of freedom. That we actually get tricked into thinking that freedom is to be able to do what you want, because we don't understand that our wants do not belong to us and that we are in service to something else. So quite an interesting little circle, a conundrum that we're in, which gives us the rise to spiritual life, to spirituality, to seeing things as they are. He goes on in another paragraph. Identification with your mind. That's you thinking your mind is who you are. And how do you know that that's true? Because I ask you, how are you? And you'll say, oh, I'm a little depressed, or, oh, I'm really happy today. You know, you query your mind. How am I? Or you'll query your body. Oh, I'm a little hungry. Oh, I'm a little sore. Oh, I think I'm getting sick. You know, when we talk about our I, we immediately go to the body and the mind to get these definitions. And he's talking about something quite different, a freedom that lies beyond that habit. Identification with your mind, which causes thought to become compulsive, that you can't stop thinking. You're just always thinking. You're compelled. Not to be able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction. But we don't realize this because almost everybody is suffering from it. So it's considered normal. This incessant mental noise prevents you from finding the realm of inner stillness that is inseparable from your being. It also creates a false mind-made self that casts a shadow of fear and suffering. We will look at all this in more detail later, he says. The philosopher Descartes believed that he had found the most fundamental truth when he made that famous statement, I think, therefore I am. But he had, in fact, given expression to the most basic error, to equate thinking with being and identity with thinking. The compulsive thinker, which means almost everyone, lives in a state of apparent separateness in an insanely complex world of continuous problems and conflict, a world that reflects the ever-increasing fragmentation of the mind. Enlightenment is a state of wholeness of being, at one, and therefore at peace, at one with life in its manifested aspect, the world, as well as with your deepest self and life unmanifested, at one with being. Enlightenment is not only the end of suffering and of continuous conflict within and without, but also the end of the dreadful enslavement to incessant thinking. What an incredible liberation this is. So there's our ideal. Can you imagine what your existence is without thinking? What is your idea of what you are? without thinking? Do you think that you're dull and empty, somebody who's unaware of anything? Or is there something beyond that, like he says? Is there beauty and peace and love and wonder, an existence that's completely new and different from our experience when we realize that we are not the mind, that we are not the thinker, when we can separate and become the observer? What new truths become apparent to us? What new realities do we understand? This is the essence of practice. This is the pursuit of spiritual life, to touch a peace beyond understanding.